Revelation says, "After this I looked, behold, a door was open in heaven, and the first voice which I heard was as it were a trumpet talking with me, which saith, Come up hither, and I will show these things which must be hereafter. Taurus is the door. He has a horn, which is a trumpet, saying, Come up with hither, because here is where Aruga comes up. Aruga is a representation of Christ. Taurus in the Kabbalah has the letter Vav applied to him, that there are 12 constellations that have Hebrew letters applied to them. The letter Vav also means peg or nail. So, as the ox is goring Aruga in the foot, and that star means death, it is really representing the Messiah who died on the cross and had a nail within his foot. And he was raised up to the heavens to be the king. So it says, Immediately I was in the Spirit, behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat upon the throne. Aruga sits within the incense offering of the heavens. It's actually the Milky Way that travels. It's the ascending chamber within the pyramid structure. And the pyramid, the lower ascending chamber, is called the chamber of truth in darkness, and the upper chamber is truth in light. So in the lower chamber, darkness also represents death, and there is Aruga. The upper chamber is truth and light, and here we're seeing the spirit that Perseus is the first one is raised. Perseus is raised within the spirit, and is also supposed to be the breath. Perseus means the breaker, and as the apparent travel of the sun, it breaks forth and raises up in the spirit of this area, and then raises up to where we're going to see one sitting upon a throne. So the drama of Revelation unfolds as John is caught up to heaven. There is a king upon a throne. The first heavenly scene. Immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat upon the throne. 4, 6 through 8. And in the midst of the throne and round about the throne were 4 beasts full of eyes before and behind him. The first beast was like a lion. The second beast was like a calf. The third had a face of a man, and the fourth was like a flying eagle. And the 4 beasts, each of them had 6 wings about the throne. So around the throne is Leo the lion, Taurus the ox, Aquila the eagle, Aquarius the water bearer, 6 wings, as defined in the Zohar, speaks of the 6 directions from which they fall. Now we're going on to the offering of the meal offering. And in Revelation, we're seeing that in the right hand of him, upon the throne, within the a book written within, and on the backside 7 seals. Heaven itself, we understand, is rolled up as a scroll. We're going to read the scroll as we're beginning to open the book. It says, And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, Who is able to open the book and loose the seals thereof? In the Book of the Dead, this story stands as well. The strong angel that you see is Orion, and he is telling you who is worthy, because what does he say? Out of the sword of the mouth on the hilt of his belt is the Alpha and Omega. He's telling you the Alpha and Omega is the Messiah, who is going to open the book and read thereon. It says, I wept much, because no man was found worthy to read the book, neither look thereon. And there actually is weeping in heaven as you would look to the Book of the Dead. It shows the weeping in heaven of the burial, and that the heavens themselves are supposed to be representing a story of death and resurrection. So there are those who are weeping before the casket, and in the heavens, the ark that is within the heavens is the Big Dipper.
The concept of what we're looking for is a man who is morally able to overcome the grave. We get that if we take the root now to temple, The word temple not only means house, but means morally able to overcome, coming from the root of tabernacle, which is the grave. So we're looking for a man that's going to be in the coffin, but he's different than other men because he is the one who is morally able to overcome the grave.
Represent the casket. It's supposed to move slowly around the northern pole to represent this death. And the Book of the Dead of Egyptians, of course, Moses was schooled in the ways of the Egyptians, and this story was how he had built the ark. Ark meant coffin, and the ark has to be opened within the heavens and able to contain the tribes of Israel. Are said within the book of Revelation, chapter 11, that when they see the ark that is opened within the heavens, that then they will come. They are supposed to come to fight a war against those who destroy the earth. They will return to Israel when they understand what's going on here. So John says, I wept much because no man was found to read the book or neither to look thereon. And one of the elders said to me, Weep not, behold, the Lion of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and hath loosed the 10 seals. And Orion is one of the elders, and he's holding a lion, so he's supposed to be representing the idea that this book is to be able to be opened, and the seals are to be opened as well, which they are the four corners, height, depth, and time. Verse 6 said, I behold in the midst of the throne 4 beasts. In the midst of the elders stood a lamb, as it were, slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God, sent forth onto the whole earth. Aries is the lamb, and at one time the Pleiades were reckoned unto him. Today they're reckoned unto Taurus the ox, and that was just based over time. And he came and took the right book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, holding every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us by the blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. And thou hast made unto our God kings and priests. We shall reign on the earth. And I beheld, I heard the voice of many angels round about the throne, the beasts and the elders. The number of them was 10,000 times 10,000 and thousands of thousands, saying with a loud voice, Worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing. All those statements are actually part of the Sefer Yetzirah. The Lamb, of course, is Aries the Lamb. He has a star meaning slain, Elnath as well. And when it says every creature in heaven and on the earth and under the earth, such as are in the sea, and all of them, and all that are in them, heard I sing, Blessing and honor and glory and power be unto him that sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb forever and ever. He that sitteth upon the throne is Cephas, representing Christ. The Lamb slain represents Christ forever and ever, again is the Pleiades. And the 4 beasts said, Amen. And the 24 elders fell down and worshipped him that liveth forever. So when he says, And I saw the throne of him, the backside 7 seals, we're understanding that it is possible to roll up the heavens, or a planisphere of the heavens, like a scroll, and do so in such a way that Aries the Lamb touches the hand of Cephas the king. A scroll is the ancient book, hence the book in the hand of Cephas is the heavens themselves. And so what we're understanding is here are the offerings, and now we shall begin. So offering the meal offering. The virgin is a woman holding a branch in her right hand and the ear of corn in her left. That's a Virgo, and which means the branch, considered to be holding wheat or barley. Christ is our meal offering in 3 forms. In the form of fresh ears roasted by the fire, or dried grains coarsely rubbed or crushed, Leviticus 2:14. As finely ground wheat or barley flour, These two forms were covered or mixed with offal and frankincense. Loaves or cakes were made out of the fine flour mixed with oil. The glory of God, Christ, in the apparent travel of the sun is what we see here. The zodiac line goes through Virgo, and the Virgin is ready to offer the Son of Righteousness, who is the Messiah. The Hebrew word ben means son, and also the concept is the arrow. The ben means son, or the arrow of the corn daughter. The servant to be born is supposed to be the sacrifice, and then the priest takes the grain as a memorial and burns it on the offering. It is made by fire as a sweet offering of the Lord. So Leo, the lion, we saw as the first seal, and Leo is supposed to be the lion of the tribe of Judah. It lets us know within the text. And Judah means to hold out the hand or shoot the arrow. The Hebrew word for son is ben, also meaning the arrow of the corn daughter. And so what we're seeing is that the first horseman that comes forward is holding an arrow. It is Sagittarius, who's supposed to be shooting the arrow of the corn daughter. Incidentally, it is at the heart of the scorpion, which is supposed to be the wicked or the enemy. And so here we see the offering of the daily meal offering that he's placed upon the altar, because scorpion is upon the solar altar, upon the zodiac, and this arrow goes to the altar in order to shoot the wicked. Christ, of course, was placed upon the altar. A cross also means the altar. He was the son of the Virgin Mary, and he went upon the altar in order to come against the wicked and to destroy Satan. Next comes the offering of the Chavitin offering, and that was supposed to be a fourth of a log to divide the oil of the high priest's Chavitin offering. HaKorbanet 13:3 reads, "A fourth of the log of oil is poured upon each of the cakes of the high priest brings." This means death and resurrection of the sun. As the sun travels in the solar, it lights up 4 men. These 4 men, as we meet, begin with Ophiacus. Then in the apparent travel, Perseus raises first, and then Aruga, and then Orion. So each are a fourth part of this one offering, which was the child of Virgo. So the anointing is shown within 4 parts, and that's what we're supposed to be seeing here. It's called the Minchah Chavitin, which is offered by the Kohan Gadol, and half in the morning, half at night. Orion and Ophiacus are the first half. It is the first 2 halves. It is said that Orion was stung by the scorpion. We see him in the position of Ophiacus, kind of like Superman and Clark Kent in 2 different poses. And then as Orion as a young man, in his regular pose, Orion as the old man. So Orion is in the morning. As the apparent travel of the sun rises, it rises in Orion. In Ophiacus is a position of the night of the heavens. As the sun's apparent travel, a day is as a year, and on a yearly basis, the sun is said to die in Ophiacus at the time the pyramid was built. And why this is so is because at that time, the days would become shorter, and in the spring, the days would become longer, so the sun is raised up to life. It dies as it becomes shorter, and there is less sun. It raises up as it becomes longer, and there is more sun. Next, the high priest would offer the daily meal offering, the Chavitin offering, then he would offer the wine or drink offering, and he would offer the Musafim, which is the ox and 7 lambs, along with their meal and daily offerings. And so we're supposed to be seeing that within the representation. We're going to go a little bit deeper into the concept of how this is done. That first we saw Leo. He's the lion of the tribe of Judah. It means praise, to hold out the hand or shooting the arrow, and that opens to the archer. And then we see the white horse. He that sat upon him had a bow. The crown was given to him. He went forth conquering to conquer. And that describes the first seal, which is Sagittarius, which is a picture of the horse and rider that has a bow. His Syrian Hebrew name is Kesef, meaning archer. The Arabic name is for Sagittarius is the arrow. The Coptic name is Pymir, meaning come forth. The characters under his hind foot read Kanem, meaning he conquers. The ancient called Sagittarius the milk dipper because of his close location to the Milky Way. This may explain why John called him a white horse. In front of his forefoot is a crown, referring to the words a crown was given to him. As he marches forward, he would receive a crown. So Sagittarius shoots the arrow to the heart of the scorpion, resting on the solar altar. The message is that the Messiah would die on an altar, inherit the crown. The story of the Messiah's death is to strike at the heart of the enemy. The arrow is aimed at Antares, meaning the heart. Then it says in Revelation 6:3, and when he opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, come and see. The second beast is Taurus, the celestial ox. Taurus, the ox, is known as red for his bright red star in his eye is called alderman. Taurus, as the corner of the temple is looking at through red alderman, or the bull's eye, he is the Parantellon of the star Antares. So he is, when one raises, the other falls, and it's the opposite side of the zodiac. And what that means is that what he is looking at is the arrow shooting to Scorpio, and since it arrives at the right point, it's like Taurus is saying, bullseye, you who are the arrow, who went upon the altar, you are the one who is able to destroy the enemy. For the offering of the Chavitin, what we're seeing is that there were 4 men, and the concept is here is to light up the story of the Anointed One as the oil. In the solar story, he's seen as 4 parts. When the sun reaches the man in his apparent travel, 1 man in heaven is seen to die and raise up in 3 parts. There's supposed to be the 3 parts of the soul, according to the solar travel. The word solar is where the word soul comes from. In Hebrew, there are many parts, but we deal with the 3 main parts, which in the Egyptian religion are the Ba, Ka, and Ku, Neshima. Ruah is like the breath or the spirit that we see in the raising of Perseus. Nephesh is the animal self, which Aruga we see is joined with the animal of Taurus, and that Taurus is attacking him in the foot. Also, when an ox gores a man, you pay 30 pieces of silver, and it takes 30 pieces of silver to buy a bride. So when Zechariah says, weigh me my price, 30 pieces of silver, speaking of the shepherd, we see this within the heavens of the good shepherd as well. The son carries the man with him, and who is to die with the lamb. After that, it goes into the belly of whale, raises as 3 parts of the soul. We discuss these parts as the 3 men that raise up. They're all one and the same as Ophiacus, who is the 1 man who dies and is raising up in 3 parts. Revelation 6:4 said, and there went another horse that was red. He had, and him that sat upon him had power to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another, and there was given to him a great sword. So when it says, and there went out another horse, another is the Greek word aleph. It means one other than a horse, and was red. That's Taurus that was red. He is not a horse. The words take peace from the earth. The ox was the peace offering. The rabbinical tradition states the ox was offered in Israel for the whole earth. This was a peace offering, and it's no longer offered to the earth, and Christ was taken from the earth. According to the Talmud, none of the offerings were accepted by God from 30 AD on. Jesus died in 30 AD as the chief and the peace offering. Perseus is the only rider in the heavens holding the sword. Perseus is riding not on a horse, but instead upon Taurus the ox. Every detail must fit, and this is why. It is one other than a horse, and that is supposed to be representing of Perseus. The first rider was supposed to be the daily meal offering, and the second rider was supposed to represent the Chavitin offering, and so we see that within Perseus, but also holding the relationship of how it's divided into the 4 parts. Micah 2:13 says the breaker goes up before them. The breaker is another name for Perseus and the sun, and in the apparent travel, Ophiacus changes his garments, that is the garment of the soul, and becomes Perseus, who raises up in the golden garments of the sun. After that, Perseus rises from the pit. Perseus rises from the star Myra, meaning wonderful. So we understand the words, his name shall be called wonderful. The Hebrew word name means the ability to travel through the etheric waves to a definite place in the heavens. And the man who is traveling the apparent sun, the Son of Man who comes upon a cloud, must travel to the star Myra. Then he raises up to the stars Pleiades, which are called the eyes. It is also called Ruah, or the spirit body of the man. And so we're seeing all of this take place in the heavens. Next, we want to understand that there is supposed to be a wine offering, offering the wine offering and discussing the line that's gone throughout the earth, their words to the end of the world. The sun comes to Taurus, also called the sin offering, and he is piercing the victim. In Revelation 6:5, it says, when he opened the third seal, I heard the beast say, come and see. The third beast is Aquarius, the waterman. The word beast is intended to mean man here. The man who has poured himself out provides further revelation. Revelation 6:5 said, I beheld, and lo, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. The constellation is Centaurus, a creature with the body of a horse, which is connected to the upper body of a man. The ancients called him the dark horse. He is described as Libra. The scales has a pair of balances again next to the hand. Just like before we saw Orion, it says the 7 stars are in his hand. The word can also mean next to. It should have been translated next to his hand. The strongest destination here can be to or by his hand. So by the hand of the Centaurus are the scales. The Centaurus can represent Christ, because underneath the Centaurus' horse is a cross, and the centurion pierced Christ as the victim upon the cross, and therefore the scales here are weighed as being next to him as well. Number 12 is to offer the Lucifer, which is the ox and the 7 lambs, all elevation offerings, along with their meal and drink offerings. And we see that as the 4th seal. When he opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th beast say, come and see. The 4th beast is Aquila, the flying eagle. His stars speak of a Messiah who would die upon the cross. Altair, meaning the wounding. Al-Okzal, meaning wounded in the heel. Terared, meaning wounded and torn. Al-Kar, meaning the piercing. Al-Shain, meaning the bright scarlet-colored. The Messiah would die upon a cross as the fulfillment of all of the offerings, is what's being said here. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. This is Revelation 6:8. And his name that sat upon him was Death, and hell followed him. And power was given unto them over 1/4 of the earth to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. The star correlation to this passage is the winged horse called Pegasus, who is pale and partially hidden within the clouds. And his name of him that sat upon him was Death. The rider located near and above is Aquarius, the water power. Here the Messiah's death is recorded. His blood was the drink offering that was set. And hell followed after him, it said, and the power was given over to him to the 4th part of the earth to kill with sword, with hunger, with death, and with the beasts of the earth. The ancients thought that Aquarius represented death. The portion of the hell that followed him was Cetus, representing hell. Again, Cetus is like unto the Dead Sea. Although we see him as a sea monster, the Hebrew word sea monster and whale means the same. And Manly Hall refers to Cetus as being a whale. So it is the story of Jonah and the whale.